So I remember working in restaurants when I was just, 16. I got a job working car side, like curbside pickup. It's crazy how in the last few months how popular that's become compared to like back then. I feel like it was a fairly new thing. But we were also responsible for helping like bus tables and stuff like that for servers also. And I remember the servers used to always refer to certain customers as Canadian. They would refer to black customers as Canadian. And it's funny because as this thing has gone on, a lot of people have said, I don't see racism everywhere the way these protesters say that racism is everywhere, and I just don't see it. And more recently, I've kind of been thinking about that. Oh, I just got sat with some Canadians. And I guess the idea, what, did they not have tipping in Canada or something? Was that what they were trying to say? I don't know. And a couple years later, I started waiting tables myself, and I started to notice something kind of odd. Because they would seat me with these tables as they come in, more experienced servers. Yeah, oh, it'd be good practice. It'd be good practice for you since you're new. And I noticed something weird. They tipped the same as everyone else. And it wasn't just the one restaurant. No, it was a lot of different restaurants that I worked at. They might not have called them Canadian, but the sentiment was the same. And I would just offer to take those tables. When somebody started throwing a fit about it, I couldn't stand to hear it. Because, like I said, they tipped the same. There was really no difference. And I remember at a certain point when I became a really experienced server, when I really could sell and provide a 5-star experience for people, I actually started to notice something different. 5-star reviews regularly. I would get more reviews than anyone else because I just provided the same service always. And after a while of that, I got into the car business. We were a Nissan store, so we had a pretty broad demographic, but we still had a lot of black customers at Nissan also. A lot of black salespeople too. And I remember when I was new at Nissan, when an Indian customer would come in, and the older, more experienced salespeople, oh, it'd be good practice. It'd be good practice. And this wasn't just white salespeople saying it'd be good practice. No, I mean, I really, to be honest, it was mostly black salespeople saying it'd be good practice. I'm not taking Indian customers. And there was one guy that I worked with. Every single Indian customer, he was the first one to pop up. And he sold them, and he got a lot of referrals. And I remember I became friends with the guy. He's a little abrasive at times. But I talked to him and I had asked him, what did he do? What did he do differently? And, he didn't really have an answer. He just said he just ran straight towards every customer that came in, always. And then after, he sold a car to one Indian family, and they bought another from him, and then they referred their friends, and then he got to the point where just through talking to them, they're a pretty tight-knit community in the Short Pump area, apparently. So, they knew a lot of the same people, or they went to the same places, and he was just able to carry on a conversation that had, I guess, a little more substance to it. And in thinking about that, I kind of realized, racism is definitely, even through my own experience, I can say it's undeniable. It definitely exists. I've seen it firsthand. And when I was working in restaurants, no, I didn't speak up and say something. I didn't go tell a manager. These people are basically shoving off your clientele. But I remember getting out of the car business, going back to restaurants for a little bit before I went back to school. And I remember this lady came in for lunch at this place I was working at. It was a real nice place. Like, by night, it was like a 4 or 5 star sort of place. Real expensive. But you could get a pretty reasonable lunch. This woman comes in. She orders a lasagna. Well, rather, she came in, and every server insisted that that table was not part of their section. All immigrants, by the way. All the servers in this restaurant, all immigrants. I was the only white American that works there. And I mean that in all seriousness. That's not a hyperbole. And this woman sits down, and every single server says, well, that's not my section. I'm pretty sure it's their section. Oh, no, it's not mine, it's theirs. And this woman sat there for 3 minutes. Nobody even came up and gave her so much as a water. She's just sitting there with her menu. And I just, without asking anyone, just went up and started waiting on her. Because at where I got trained, if a table sat ungreeted for more than 2 minutes, that was anybody's table. No matter where it was. I was there to make some money. So, I greet the lady. She already knows what she wants. It's like, pretty sure it was a Diet Coke and a lasagna. I know she ordered the lasagna. I think she ordered a Diet Coke, or maybe it was Sprite. But, I get that for her while she's waiting on her lunch. I think I bring her a little bit of bread. I ask her what else, if she'd like anything else. She says no. I bring her food out. I go ahead and get her a refill. And while she's having her lasagna, I told her we did half glasses of wine at lunch. She wanted a half a glass of wine to go with her lasagna. She says no because she's working. So, another minute goes by. You want to come back and check. I ask her, make sure everything's tasting right. I'm pretty sure I actually brought her another refill because I think that it looked like she was going through that Sprite real quick. And then, easy transaction at the end. I always carry the check over, ask her if she wants dessert. And the woman says, no, just the check. I already had it on me. And so, I always carry the dessert menu and the check. So either way we go, I've already got what they need. So then, I drop off the check. I tell her I'll be back in a minute. And by the time I come back, she's already gone. Bills paid. It was like $12, I think. It was like a $12 lunch. She gave me 15. It was a perfectly reasonable tip for a reasonable priced lunch, in my opinion, considering I really didn't have to go to that table more than 2 or 3 times. I just didn't want her to feel shrugged off, because no doubt she felt shrugged off walking through the door, sitting there for 3 whole minutes. It only took 7 minutes to make her food. So, I collect the money, get all the plates and dishes off the table. And as I'm walking back to the kitchen, I see her standing next to the door. And she's like, kind of has this pensive sort of look on her face. And I'm afraid that she's going to complain that it took so long for anyone to greet her, because Lord knows I would. So I hurry up and put the dishes down. I ask another server to bust them properly for me, because I saw my customer standing next to the door. So I run over and I just say, like, is everything all right? Are you waiting on your Uber or a car or something? And she says no, she was waiting for me. She said that she stopped coming to that restaurant because she felt like she was ignored by the staff. And that particular day, she just really, really wanted that really great lasagna. Even though she had determined herself not to come back. And the woman gave me, I think she literally gave me another $10. If I remember right, she tipped me extraordinarily well, in addition to the couple bucks she had already left me. And then she said to me, anytime I come back for lunch, I'm going to ask for you, or if any of my coworkers or my friends want to come to lunch. And she was not, what's the word I'm looking for? Not concierge. She worked for one of the hotels. So she was like a planner. So when people would call the desk and say, like, hey, where do we go? Or what shows are going on tonight? She was in charge of sending people to restaurants. And she got my name specifically so she could book reservations at that restaurant with me, because she felt confident that she could trust me to take care of people right. And now I know that this sounds like some self-congratulatory bullshit. Because it is. I mean, to be totally fair. But as I look at the people posting and sharing and, educating people on racism, and I'm like really happy to see it, especially after taking a couple steps back and really thinking about what, obviously this hasn't affected me directly. Well, I mean, it has. I've made a lot more money as people ignorantly pass up customers in the sales field. So it has affected me. You want to talk about white privilege, I've not been discriminated against, but I have benefited on other people leaving free money lying around. And I see people sharing the memes about, what is white privilege, like, race, what does racism mean, white silence, all of that stuff. As I see all these memes going around, and I'm not saying this is reflective of the whole movement, not by a long shot, but what I am saying is a lot of these people sharing this stuff that I see are those same people that said, oh, I just got sat with some Canadians. They're the same people that said, I haven't sold a car all day. It's 3 little Indians out here. Those same people And honestly, it kind of makes me mad. So I feel like an asshole because I've not said anything about this. I feel like I've just been quietly thinking and contemplating and evaluating. You know, protests are good and, but rioting and burning buildings, that just seems unnecessary. Like, oh yeah, it's real nice to be able to just sit back and think and to just try and think about your total opinion on things. But I don't know, just today I drove past that first restaurant job I had, and I looked at the building, and that thought came to mind. And I thought how just a couple days ago I saw one of those waitresses educating people on racism. I thought to myself, to someone like you, there would certainly be no question that racism still exists. Because I got to firsthand witness you projecting that onto people. And by no means am I trying to say that my hands are clean. I mean, I think most people that have grown, it's a sure sign of growth that you look back on some dumb fucking joke that you made 10 years ago. And if you're not looking back and thinking, "Oh my god, why did I say that?" then it's possible you haven't grown as a person. Say it's likely you haven't grown as a person. And I think I don't know, there's a lot of people scared about what comes next after all of this, but all in all, I think I think things will get better.